The popular Brazilian Ronaldinho wasn't just a good footballer, he also put on a show every time he stepped onto the field. Ronaldinho's talents earned him an international hero, and he now reigns atop the pantheon of indispensable footballers of all time. That's why it hurt football fans' hearts to see the former Barcelona star fall so far. Ronaldinho and his brother were detained in Paraguay in the year 2020 for using counterfeit passports to enter the nation. How did the best football player ever end up like this? Hello and welcome to Goalside. In today's video, we will talk about how one of the greatest players in football history became a criminal. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the post notifications. So without wasting any time, let's dive right into the video. In the late 1990s, Carlos Gamarra was one of the best defenders in the world. He was president in Brazil, while Ronaldinho rose to popularity, but they were never particularly close. The Paraguayan icon felt obligated to pay the former Barcelona player a visit in jail after learning of his unfortunate predicament. Gamarra saw Ronaldinho for a whole morning inside the country's maximum security Agrupación Especializada prison. Something he saw that day has stayed with him ever since. Sincerity sparked awe in me at the sight of so many kids crowding around him for pictures and autographs. Even though I know he's famous all across the world, that fact nonetheless caught me off guard. Ronaldinho and Roberto de Assis, Ronaldinho's older brother and manager, were arrested in March on suspicion of entering the country with forged passports. Young fans lined up outside the complex daily in the hopes of seeing the Brazilian and taking a selfie with him, despite the fact that most of them were too young to remember his World Cup victory in 2002 or his Ballon d'Or title in 2005. Ronaldinho's mini tour, as it was sarcastically called, allowed two young admirers to visit him for a few moments on the prison's outdoor patio during his first week or so behind bars. I had to stop doing that because of the coronavirus outbreak. That really sucked. Having kids around was fun for Ronaldinho, he says. Despite retiring in 2018, the man who smiled widely and dominated football before Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo remains a beloved figure. In contrast, he celebrated his 40th birthday in March with just his brother and a cake brought to his Paraguayan prison by one of his lawyers. We can safely assume that this is not what the notorious party animal Ronaldinho had in mind. The footballing community at large was expected to be paying respect to the Brazil ace at that time. Globo, the largest television network in his home country, was debating whether to cancel a three-part special about his career that had taken months to produce. They ultimately made the decision to proceed. While behind bars, Ronaldinho tried to keep to a schedule. One of the three prison wings of Agrupación Especializada jail is home to dangerous inmates, and inmates there must also contend with mosquitoes from the nearby river and the possibility of dengue fever. Ronaldinho, on the other hand, spent the vast majority of his time in a separate area with another 25 convicts, where he had access to luxuries like a television in his cell. He reportedly witnessed Atletico Madrid's 3-2 UEFA Champions League victory over Liverpool from his cell. For a grand total of 32 days, Ronaldinho was locked up. After 4 requests from his lawyers, a Paraguayan judge ordered him and his brother released from prison under house arrest after they posted $1.6 million bond and promised not to leave the country. In a WhatsApp video conversation, the judge informed them of his decision. Ronaldinho, in his signature black beret, simply smiled at the end of the exchange and gestured for him to hang loose. Since then, he was residing at the centrally located $64 per night Palmaroga Hotel in Asunción, barely 3 kilometers from the penitentiary, where he was held for almost a month. The building's perimeter has been under the watchful eye of security personnel. What happened to make one of the best players of all time turn out that way? The initial inclination, and it's reasonable given his post-retirement renown back home as the Lord of the Strange Gigs, was to treat the first photographs of Ronaldinho having a kickabout in prison as just another chapter in his colourful story. No one should have laughed this time. Since Ronaldinho and his brother were arrested for using fake passports, the case snowballed into an inquiry into a probable money laundering conspiracy, leading to the detention of 15 persons. Adolfo Marin, one of Ronaldinho's lawyers, argued that the Brazilian icon had been misled into thinking that the passport and other papers had been given to him as a present. He was innocently acting in a criminal manner, Marin said of him to Folha de S. Paulo. He's daft. Even though such a statement may seem harsh at first, individuals who are familiar with his inner circle do not find it to be wholly incorrect. Even though he became football's biggest celebrity in the early 2000s thanks to his great talent, Ronaldinho never looked to be in charge of his own life or aware of what was going on around him. It's telling of how low his reputation had fallen that many of his countrymen weren't shocked to see a photo of him in handcuffs. According to Diogo Olivier, a football columnist for Zero Hora, who has followed Ronaldinho throughout his career, Ronaldinho has been so dedicated to the game that he stayed there looking perplexed, wondering what was happening when Brazil was eliminated from the 2000 Olympics by Cameroon. But there has to be a limit to that at some time. You should know by the time you're 40 that using a phony passport to enter a foreign nation will get you arrested. You should start taking some of the consequences for your actions now that you're of legal age. A lot of people think Ronaldinho doesn't know what's going on away from the field of play. What's worse is that it's actually correct. As for his company, he has no idea what he's doing. Ronaldinho's loved ones encased him in a protective cocoon and told him, "You go there and play and let us manage the rest." His potential was so absurd that he was thrust into that sphere at an early age. So he's been there since he was 14 years old, and he's never known any other place to call home. I seriously doubt that he had a clue what he was doing in Paraguay. The truth is, I'm convinced of it. Assis's mission during Ronaldinho's rise to fame, from his humble beginnings in Porto Alegre to the world stage, was to protect Ronaldinho's ego bubble from criticism. The man Ronaldinho refers to as Patrão, boss, is actually a former football player who had his big break with Grêmio and won the Brazilian Cup with them in 1989. At the time, he was expected to play for his country on a regular basis, but he decided to take a lucrative offer from Swiss club Sion instead of waiting for a call-up, which derailed his career and doomed him to a life of wandering. He was already looking out for Ronaldinho's career from afar while he was in his late 20s and playing in Japan, rejecting offers from PSV Eindhoven and doing his best to keep his younger brother from making the same mistakes he did. The happy little brother saw Assis as more than just an elder sibling. Assis stepped into the role of breadwinner after his father's untimely death in the family pool. It was just a few months before their father's death that the Assis Moreira family had moved into that lavish mansion. Assis had signed a new contract with Grêmio and rejected an offer from Torino in exchange for the house. Assis wanted to leave such times in the past, so he eventually had the pool destroyed. After going through all that with Assis, it's no wonder Ronaldinho has complete faith in him. However, the biggest problem is that Assis also has a reputation for being greedy, which has led to numerous problems for the FIFA 2004 and 2005 World Player of the Year. What do you think about Ronaldinho having a criminal record? Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon with the next video. Thank you so much for watching.